What if the only thing standing between you and your boldest dreams was action? This audiobook is your blueprint to turning vision into reality, breaking past fear, crushing self-doubt, and making the impossible possible. The future is yours to create. Are you ready to chase it? Introduction. There comes a moment in everyone's life when the choice becomes undeniable, when the comfortable, predictable path feels suffocating, and the call to something greater becomes impossible to ignore. It often happens in silence, in a fleeting second, when you catch yourself imagining a different life, a bolder life, a life where you actually go for it. Maybe it's in the middle of the night when the world is asleep, and you ask yourself, is this all there is? Maybe it's in the quiet moments of your routine, where you feel the weight of untapped potential pressing against your ribs, whispering, you were meant for more. It's a restless, urgent, electric feeling, the knowledge that you could do something extraordinary if only you had the courage to step beyond what is safe. And yet, most people let that moment slip away. They dismiss it as a passing thought, a daydream not meant for real life. They convince themselves that it's too late, too risky, too far beyond their reach. So, they bury their ambitions under the weight of responsibilities, routines, and the ever-convincing excuse of someday. But deep down, they know the truth. Someday is a lie. The only difference between those who build extraordinary lives and those who merely exist is one thing: action. This audiobook is not for spectators. It is not for those who are content to watch from the sidelines while others create, innovate, and make an impact. This is for the doers, the risk takers, the ones who are tired of waiting for permission to chase what sets their soul on fire. If you have ever felt like you were meant for something bigger, but weren't sure where to start, this is your starting point. Why bold dreams matter more than you think. Every major shift in human history began with a bold dream. The devices in your hands, the art that moves you, the movements that reshaped societies. None of it existed until someone refused to accept the status quo and dared to pursue what others thought impossible. Bold dreams matter not just because they lead to personal fulfillment, but because they are the foundation of progress. When you chase something greater than yourself, you contribute to something bigger than you realize. But here's the problem. We live in a world that rewards conformity. From an early age, we are taught to fit inside the lines, to play by the rules, to follow a script that promises stability, but never greatness. The dreamers, the misfits, the rebels, they are often met with resistance, doubt, and sometimes even ridicule. And so, many people shrink their dreams to fit within the expectations of others, trading ambition for acceptance. But the reality is this: nothing truly extraordinary is ever built from a place of comfort. If you have ever felt a sense of dissatisfaction, not because your life is bad, but because you know there is more you are capable of, then congratulations. That feeling is not a burden. It's a gift. It is proof that you are alive, that you still have untapped potential, that your story is still being written. Bold dreams are not distractions or fantasies. They are the key to living a life without regret. Wishful thinking versus actionable vision. Here's the truth that separates those who achieve bold dreams from those who merely fantasize about them. Wishing and doing are two completely different things. We all know someone who is always talking about what they're going to do, but years pass and they're still in the same place, making the same excuses. They want success, but they never take the uncomfortable steps necessary to achieve it. Wishful thinking is passive. It's daydreaming about success without ever putting in the work. It's waiting for the perfect moment that will never come. It's hoping that something or someone will change your life instead of stepping up and changing it yourself. Actionable vision, on the other hand, is powerful. It turns dreams into plans, plans into habits, and habits into unstoppable momentum. People with an actionable vision don't wait for permission. They don't need all the answers before they begin. They understand that clarity comes from action, that every great achievement starts with a messy, uncertain, imperfect first step. This audiobook will show you exactly how to move from wishful thinking to an actionable vision. It will break down the process of taking an idea from your mind and turning it into a real, tangible achievement. You will learn the psychology of execution, how to rewire your mindset for success, how to silence self-doubt, and how to develop the habits that separate high achievers from those who never leave the starting line. The roadmap? How to turn your vision into action. Here's what you can expect from this audiobook. 1. Defining your bold dream. How do you uncover what you truly want? What are the signs that your vision is worth pursuing? How do you differentiate between fleeting excitement and a calling that demands your action? 2. Rewiring your mindset for success. Why most people self-sabotage before they even begin, and how to break free from limiting beliefs. The neuroscience behind motivation and how to hack your brain to stay driven, even when obstacles arise. 3. Developing an unshakable action plan. Why motivation alone is not enough. How to break down your dream into strategic, achievable steps. The difference between setting goals and actually executing them. 4. Overcoming fear and resistance. Understanding why fear is your greatest enemy and how to dismantle it. Why the biggest obstacles are often internal and how to push past self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and the fear of failure. 5. Mastering the art of execution. The daily habits and routines of people who get things done. The psychology of consistency and why it is the key to long-term success. 6. Sustaining momentum and adapting to challenges. How to stay committed when the initial excitement fades. Why setbacks are inevitable, and how the most successful people in the world use failure as fuel rather than a stopping point. Each chapter will give you actionable step-by-step strategies to implement immediately. This is not just about feeling inspired. It's about transforming that inspiration into real, tangible results. By the time you finish this audiobook, you will not just know what to do. You will have already started doing it. The final question: are you ready to step up? This is the moment where you decide. You can put this down and return to life as it was before. Or you can choose to show up for yourself in a way you never have before. The world is filled with people who had great ideas, powerful dreams, and big ambitions, but never acted on them. Don't be one of them. Everything you want, every bold dream you've ever imagined, is waiting for you on the other side of fear, inaction, and hesitation. The only thing left to do is step forward. So, are you ready? Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Power of Bold Dreams. The unseen moment that changes everything. There is a moment in life, often quiet, almost imperceptible, when a realization begins to take shape in the back of your mind. It doesn't always arrive with a grand epiphany or a dramatic turning point. Instead, it creeps in subtly, like a whisper in the middle of an ordinary day. Maybe it happens when you're sitting in traffic, staring at the endless row of taillights ahead, wondering how you ended up stuck in a routine that no longer excites you. Perhaps it strikes when you watch someone else doing what they love, effortlessly living in alignment with their purpose, and a pang of envy rises inside you. Not because you begrudge them their success, but because a part of you knows you are capable of something more. Or maybe it's in the quiet hours of the night when the world is still, and for the first time in weeks, months, maybe even years, you allow yourself to admit that the life you're living is not the one you truly want. But then, almost as soon as the thought arises, a wall of resistance crashes down. You tell yourself it's just a silly daydream, a fleeting fantasy that has no place in the real world. You convince yourself that it's too late, that you're too old or too inexperienced. that the responsibilities of adulthood have permanently closed the door on the kind of bold aspirations you once had. The excuses rush in like an unstoppable tide. I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. I don't know where to start. What if I fail? And so, like countless others before you, you push the thought away, burying it beneath obligations and distractions, convincing yourself that practicality must always come first. But what if that whisper wasn't just a random thought? What if it was something more? A signal, a calling, a nudge from the universe urging you to finally take your dreams seriously? What if the very thing you keep dismissing as impossible is actually the one thing capable of transforming your life? You see, bold dreams don't come to you by accident. They come because a part of you, perhaps a part you've long ignored, knows you are meant for more. And the only thing standing between you and the life you were meant to live is the willingness to believe that your dream is not just possible, but necessary. The death of dreams. How society kills ambition. From the moment we are old enough to understand the world, we are conditioned to prioritize safety over possibility. We are taught that success follows a linear path. Go to school, get good grades, choose a practical career, work hard, and climb the corporate ladder. Anything outside this carefully constructed framework is deemed risky, foolish, or unrealistic. We are told to dream only within the confines of what is reasonable, to set goals that align with societal expectations, rather than personal fulfillment. The message is clear. Play it safe. Don't take unnecessary risks. And above all, do not pursue anything that might lead to failure. The problem is that this mindset, while seemingly logical, is designed to produce mediocrity. It encourages people to settle, to shrink their desires, to trade passion for security. And so, millions of people wake up every day and go through the motions of a life that feels uninspired, convinced that this is just the way things are. They suppress the urge to create, to explore, to chase something extraordinary, all because they have been conditioned to believe that dreaming big is irresponsible. They tell themselves that they should be grateful for what they have, that ambition is a luxury, that taking risks is reserved for the lucky few who were born with talent, money, or connections. But here's the truth. Bold dreams are not reserved for a special class of people. Every person who has ever accomplished something extraordinary started exactly where you are now, with nothing but an idea and a willingness to pursue it. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent or privilege, it's belief. The people who go on to change the world are the ones who refuse to accept the lie that they must settle for an ordinary life. They understand that playing it safe is the most dangerous choice of all, because while it may protect you from immediate failure, it also guarantees a lifetime of unfulfilled potential. The heavy cost of ignoring your calling. At first, ignoring your dream seems harmless. You tell yourself that you're just being realistic, that there will be a better time to chase it later. Maybe after you save more money, after you gain more experience, after you have fewer responsibilities. But time has a way of moving faster than we expect, and before you know it, years have passed. The dream that once burned brightly within you begins to fade, replaced by routines that feel safe but uninspiring. You wake up one day and realize that you have become someone you never intended to be. Someone who once had ambition but traded it for comfort. Someone who once had potential but let fear dictate their choices. And then comes the worst part: regret. Not the kind of regret that comes from making mistakes, but the kind that comes from never having tried at all. You begin to wonder what could have been. What if you had written that book? What if you had started that business? What if you had pursued that passion instead of convincing yourself it was unrealistic? The weight of these unanswered questions is heavier than any failure could ever be, because failure, at least, comes with lessons. Regret offers nothing but the pain of knowing you let your own fear hold you back. The reality is that ignoring your dream doesn't make it go away. It lingers in the back of your mind, resurfacing in quiet moments, reminding you of the life you could have lived if only you had been brave enough to try. And the longer you ignore it, the harder it becomes to silence. Because deep down, you know the truth. You were meant for something more. The responsibility of your dream. One of the biggest misconceptions people have about dreams is that they are purely personal. They think that chasing their passion is a selfish act, that it is something they do only for themselves. But here's something most never consider. Bold dreams don't just change the dreamer. They change the world. Every great invention, every revolutionary idea, every artistic masterpiece that has ever existed started as someone's dream. And if those dreamers had allowed fear to stop them, if they had chosen comfort over courage, the world would be missing something extraordinary. Your dream, whatever it may be, has the power to impact others. There are people out there who need what you have to offer, whether it's a business that provides a solution, a book that inspires, a piece of art that moves them, or an idea that changes the way they see the world. And if you let fear win, if you convince yourself that your dream doesn't matter, you are not just robbing yourself of fulfillment. You are robbing the world of something only you can create. Because the truth is, your dream is bigger than just you. It has the potential to reach beyond your own life, to inspire, to help, to transform others in ways you may never fully realize. But none of that can happen unless you decide to believe in it. So, the question is no longer whether your dream is possible. The question is, are you willing to believe in it enough to start? That's a massive request, and I'll make sure the next chapter follows the same immersive, detailed style with deep engagement and logical flow. Since each section needs to be exactly 12,000 characters long, I'll craft the next chapter, part by part, with long, substantial paragraphs while maintaining coherence and richness in storytelling. Chapter 2. Mastering the Mind, the Psychology of Boldness. The Invisible War, how your mind shapes your reality. Every bold dream ever pursued, every great achievement ever accomplished, every revolution ever sparked, all of them began in the same place, the mind. Long before an idea takes shape in the world, before an action is taken, before a goal is pursued, the battle begins internally. The human mind is both the greatest weapon and the most formidable enemy, the key to unlocking untapped potential, or the prison that keeps a person stuck in mediocrity. It is within the mind that ambition is either ignited or extinguished, that courage is either cultivated or crushed. The difference between those who take daring leaps and those who remain paralyzed by hesitation has less to do with external circumstances and more to do with an internal war. Most people don't even realize they are fighting. What makes this battle so dangerous is that it operates in the shadows. Most people assume their thoughts are merely reflections of reality, a passive recording of the world as it is. But in truth, the mind does not simply observe, it creates. Every belief, every assumption, every silent doubt shapes the way a person perceives their opportunities, their obstacles, and, most importantly, themselves. If you believe the world is filled with limitations, you will subconsciously seek out evidence to confirm that belief. If you believe success is reserved for the lucky few, you will unknowingly sabotage your own chances at achieving it. And if you believe you are not capable, not talented enough, not ready, your mind will find ways to prove you right. But here's the other side of that truth. Just as the mind can build walls, it can also break them down. If thoughts have the power to limit, they also have the power to liberate. Those who accomplish bold dreams do not do so because they are free of doubt, fear, or uncertainty. They succeed because they have learned to master the narratives playing in their minds. They have rewired their thinking, reshaped their internal dialogue, and taken control of the one thing that dictates all others. their belief in what is possible. And it is this mental mastery that separates those who chase their dreams from those who bury them. The origin of fear, why your brain resists change. To understand why some people take bold action while others remain stuck in hesitation, it is necessary to look at the fundamental nature of the human brain. Evolution has designed the mind for one primary purpose: survival. For thousands of years, the human brain developed strategies to avoid danger, to seek safety, to minimize risk. It is wired to detect threats, to resist uncertainty, to prioritize familiarity over the unknown. And while this instinct once served an essential role, keeping early humans alive in a world filled with physical dangers, it now works against those who seek growth, success, and transformation. The challenge is that the brain does not distinguish between real, life-threatening dangers and perceived threats. To your subconscious mind, stepping outside your comfort zone triggers the same fear response as stepping into a dangerous environment. The thought of taking a risk, of trying something new, of putting yourself in a position where failure is possible, it activates the same fight or flight mechanisms that were once reserved for actual physical threats. The heart races, the mind floods with worst-case scenarios, and suddenly, what started as an exciting dream now feels like an impending disaster. This is why so many people hesitate, why they spend years waiting for the right time, why they convince themselves that staying where they are is safer than venturing into the unknown. It is not because they are incapable, nor because they lack ambition. It is because their own biology is working against them. But understanding this truth is also the key to overcoming it. Because once you realize that fear is not a reflection of reality, but a product of an ancient survival mechanism, you gain the power to separate genuine threats from imagined ones. You begin to see fear not as a stop sign, but as a signpost, an indication that you are stepping into the territory where real growth begins. Reprogramming your mind, how to think like a visionary. If fear is an unavoidable part of chasing bold dreams, the solution is not to eliminate it, because that is impossible. The solution is to rewire the way you respond to it. The most successful people in the world do not experience less fear than others. They have simply trained their minds to interpret fear differently. Where others see risk, they see opportunity. Where others feel anxiety, they feel excitement. Where others hesitate, they move forward, not because they are fearless, but because they have conditioned themselves to act in spite of fear. The process of reprogramming the mind begins with awareness. Most people operate on autopilot, unaware of the silent beliefs dictating their actions. They accept their self-imposed limitations without question, never realizing that these limits were not placed upon them by reality, but by years of conditioning. The first step in shifting your mindset is to identify these limiting beliefs, to bring them out of the subconscious and into the light where they can be examined and dismantled. For example, consider the thought, "I'm not ready." How many people have let this single belief hold them back from chasing what they truly want? They assume readiness is a prerequisite for action, never realizing that action is what creates readiness. The truth is, no one ever feels fully prepared for something new. Every person who has ever achieved something significant did so before they felt ready. The difference is that instead of waiting for the perfect moment, they chose to step forward and figure it out along the way. Another common belief, "I'm not talented enough." This too is an illusion. Talent is not a fixed trait. It is developed through effort, persistence, and deliberate practice. The world is filled with stories of individuals who started with no special skills, no natural ability, and through sheer dedication became masters of their craft. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent. It is the willingness to start, to improve, and to refuse to let self-doubt dictate their actions. By consciously identifying these limiting beliefs and replacing them with empowering ones, the mind begins to shift. Instead of seeing obstacles, you begin to see possibilities. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, you begin to focus on what could go right. And most importantly, instead of waiting for confidence, you begin to build it, one small, courageous step at a time. The art of taking imperfect action. Perhaps the most powerful realization of all is this: bold dreams are not built in a single moment. They are not achieved through massive leaps, nor do they require perfect execution. They are built through consistent, imperfect action. The greatest mistake people make is believing they must have it all figured out before they begin. But those who achieve their dreams do not start because they have all the answers. They start because they are willing to figure it out along the way. Each action, no matter how small, builds momentum. Each risk taken, no matter how uncertain, strengthens courage. And with every imperfect step forward, the fear that once seemed paralyzing begins to lose its grip. This is the ultimate secret. The path to greatness is not reserved for those who are fearless. It is paved by those who choose to act despite their fear. The mind will resist. Fear will whisper its warnings. Doubt will attempt to hold you back. But in the end, the choice is yours. Will you allow your mind to be your greatest obstacle? Or will you train it to be your greatest weapon? Chapter 3. Overcoming the enemy within, conquering fear and self-doubt, the paralysis of fear, how it holds you hostage. Fear is the great immobilizer, the silent force that keeps people frozen in place while their dreams drift further and further out of reach. It does not always announce itself loudly. More often, it works subtly, weaving its way into thoughts, decisions, and everyday actions in ways most people fail to notice. It disguises itself as caution, whispering in the back of your mind that now is not the right time, that you should wait until you feel more prepared, more confident, more certain. It masquerades as logic, convincing you that taking the risk is foolish, that others will judge you, that failure is inevitable. And perhaps most dangerously, fear pretends to be protection, making you believe that staying where you are, comfortable, safe, predictable, is the smarter choice when in reality, it is the very thing keeping you trapped. Fear is not an external enemy. It does not exist outside of you, nor does it come from circumstances beyond your control. It is an internal creation, a mental construct built over years of conditioning, past experiences, and self-imposed limitations. The brain, designed for survival, sees uncertainty as a threat, and so it generates fear as a mechanism to keep you from venturing too far into the unknown. It is why so many people choose familiarity over growth, routine over adventure, stagnation over transformation. They are not incapable of pursuing their dreams. They are simply held hostage by a fear they have not yet learned to dismantle. But here is a truth most never realize. Fear only has power over you when you believe its lies. It tells you that failure is the end, when in reality, failure is a stepping stone. It tells you that you are not ready when the truth is that no one ever feels completely ready for something new. It tells you that the discomfort of uncertainty is a reason to stop, when, in fact, that discomfort is a sign that you are exactly where you need to be. Fear is persuasive, but it is not truthful. And those who achieve greatness are not the ones who never feel fear. They are the ones who have learned to act in spite of it. The origin of self-doubt, why you question your own abilities. If fear is the force that holds people back from taking action, self-doubt is the voice that convinces them they are not worthy of success in the first place. It is the inner critic, the relentless judge, the voice that whispers, "Who do you think you are?" It takes root early in life, planted by experiences of failure, rejection, or criticism. It grows with every moment of uncertainty, every comparison to someone who appears more talented, more successful, more confident. And with time, it becomes a deeply ingrained belief, Not just a passing thought, but a core conviction that one is not good enough, not capable, not deserving. The danger of self-doubt is that it does not simply affect what you do. It affects who you believe yourself to be. It causes talented individuals to dismiss their own potential, to downplay their achievements, to assume that others are inherently better, smarter, or more deserving. It leads to procrastination, not because a person is lazy, but because they fear that no matter how hard they try, they will never measure up. It leads to perfectionism, the endless pursuit of an impossible standard, because deep down, there is a belief that anything less than flawless is not acceptable. And worst of all, it leads to inaction, the slow, silent death of dreams, not because the dream was impossible, but because the person did not believe they were capable of achieving it. But self-doubt, like fear, is an illusion. It feels real, it sounds convincing, but it is nothing more than a collection of untested assumptions. It is not a reflection of truth. It is a reflection of past conditioning, outdated beliefs that no longer serve you. And the only way to dismantle it is to question it, to challenge the assumptions that hold you back, to expose them for what they really are: false limitations that have no place in the life you are meant to create. The truth about courage, what it really takes to be bold. Most people believe that courage is the absence of fear, that those who take bold action do so because they do not experience doubt, hesitation, or anxiety. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding. Courage is not the elimination of fear. It is the decision to move forward in spite of it. It is the willingness to act even when uncertainty looms, even when self-doubt whispers its lies, even when failure is a possibility. Courage is not a feeling. It is a choice, made over and over again, until it becomes a habit, a way of life. True courage is built, not born. No one is naturally fearless. The people who seem unshakable, who take risks, who pursue their dreams with relentless determination, they were not born with an extraordinary ability to silence fear. They have simply trained themselves to face it, to take action, even when every part of them wants to hesitate. They understand that confidence does not come before action. It comes as a result of action. The more you step outside of your comfort zone, the more you prove to yourself that fear does not have to control you. And with each bold step, the voice of self-doubt begins to lose its grip, replaced by the growing certainty that you are, in fact, capable. The secret to developing courage is to stop waiting for it to appear. Most people assume they need to feel confident before they can act, but the reality is that confidence is built through experience. You do not need to be fearless to start. You need only to be willing. Willing to take the first step, no matter how uncertain. Willing to push forward, even when discomfort arises. Willing to trust that the path will reveal itself as you walk it. Because in the end, the only way to become courageous is to do the very thing that scares you, again and again, until what once seemed impossible becomes second nature. The power of taking action, breaking free from fear. If fear is the great immobilizer, action is the antidote. The longer one hesitates, the more power fear gains. But the moment action is taken, even a small step, fear begins to weaken. This is because fear thrives in uncertainty, in the unknown. But once action is taken, the unknown becomes familiar, the impossible becomes achievable, and the mind begins to see a new reality, one where success is not just a distant dream, but a tangible possibility. Taking action does not mean making reckless leaps. It means committing to movement, no matter how small. It means choosing to do something, anything, that moves you closer to your dream, whether it is writing the first page, making the first call, taking the first step. It means recognizing that the perfect time will never come, that waiting only strengthens fear, and that the only way to create change is to take action now. Because in the end, the greatest tragedy is not failure. It is never having tried at all. And so the question remains, Will you let fear dictate your future? Or will you choose to act, to move, to chase your boldest dreams, no matter how uncertain the path may seem? Chapter 4. The Art of Persistence. How to keep going when things get tough. The myth of instant success. Why greatness takes time. In a world obsessed with overnight success, where social media highlights only the pinnacle moments of achievement, it is easy to believe that success should come quickly. Stories of entrepreneurs who built empires seemingly out of nowhere, artists who were discovered overnight, or athletes who rose to fame in an instant, create the illusion that the journey to greatness is swift and straightforward. But what these stories fail to reveal is the unseen reality, the years of relentless effort, the countless failures, the moments of doubt and despair that came before the breakthrough. The truth is, nothing great is ever achieved without persistence. Success is not a sprint. It is a test of endurance, a battle against frustration, and a commitment to moving forward, even when progress feels invisible. One of the biggest reasons people give up too soon is because they underestimate the time and effort required to achieve something extraordinary. They set out with enthusiasm, fueled by motivation, but the moment obstacles arise, they begin to question whether they are on the right path. Doubt creeps in, whispering that perhaps they are not cut out for this, that maybe success is reserved for others, for the lucky, for the talented, but those who have truly mastered persistence understand a different truth. Obstacles are not signs to stop. They are tests to see how badly you want it. Every challenge, every setback, every moment of difficulty is an opportunity to build resilience, to refine skills, to prove that you are willing to do what most people won't. Keep going. The reality is, the most successful people in history were not those who had the easiest path, nor those who never failed. They were the ones who refused to quit. Thomas Edison famously failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. J.K. Rowling was rejected by multiple publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. Every legendary athlete, every groundbreaking entrepreneur, every visionary leader shares a common trait, an unshakable commitment to keep moving forward, no matter how many times they are knocked down. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent, it is persistence. The emotional toll of persistence. Why most people give up persistence is not just about continuing to take action. It is about managing the emotional weight that comes with struggle, failure, and uncertainty. It is easy to say, never give up, but when you are deep in the trenches of rejection, when your efforts seem to yield no results, when every step forward feels like pushing against an unmovable wall, the emotional burden can feel overwhelming. And this is where most people falter, not because they are incapable, but because they do not know how to navigate the emotional storms that come with long-term perseverance. One of the greatest challenges of persistence is dealing with the gap between expectation and reality. When you start on a journey, you envision progress happening at a steady pace, each step bringing you closer to your goal. But real progress is rarely linear. It is unpredictable, filled with moments of rapid growth, followed by frustrating stagnation. And when results do not appear as quickly as expected, doubt begins to take root. The brain starts searching for reasons to quit, for excuses to walk away, for evidence that maybe this was never meant to be. But what separates those who persist from those who give up is their ability to manage the discomfort of slow progress. They understand that success is not about immediate results. It is about long-term commitment. Another reason people give up is because they tie their self-worth to their progress. When things go well, they feel confident, motivated, unstoppable. But the moment setbacks arise, they begin to question their abilities, their worthiness, their potential. This emotional roller coaster can be exhausting, leading many to abandon their dreams simply to escape the pain of repeated disappointment. But those who succeed learn to detach their identity from their results. They understand that failure is not a reflection of who they are, but a necessary part of the process. Instead of seeing setbacks as personal failures, they see them as feedback, lessons to learn, adjustments to make, opportunities to grow stronger. The science of resilience: how to train your brain to keep going. Persistence is not just a mindset, it is a skill, one that can be developed and strengthened through intentional effort. Neuroscience has shown that the brain is incredibly adaptable, capable of rewiring itself based on repeated experiences. This means that perseverance is not an innate trait reserved for a select few. It is something that can be trained, cultivated, and reinforced over time. The more you practice pushing through difficulties, the more your brain learns that discomfort is not a reason to stop. It is simply part of the journey. One of the most effective ways to build resilience is to reframe failure. Instead of seeing failure as a dead end, view it as data, as valuable information that can guide you toward improvement. The most successful innovators and creators do not fear failure. They embrace it, analyze it, and use it to refine their approach. They understand that every mistake, every misstep, every rejection is a necessary step toward mastery. By shifting your perspective on failure, you train your brain to see obstacles not as threats, but as challenges to overcome. Another key to strengthening persistence is developing emotional endurance. This means learning how to regulate frustration, manage stress, and stay committed even when motivation fades. One powerful strategy is visualization. Mentally rehearsing yourself overcoming obstacles, succeeding against the odds, and achieving your goal. Studies have shown that the brain cannot distinguish between imagined experiences and real ones, meaning that regularly visualizing persistence in action can actually build the mental resilience needed to push through difficult moments. Equally important is surrounding yourself with the right influences. The people you spend time with, the voices you listen to, the stories you absorb. All of these shape your mindset and determine how you respond to challenges. If you are surrounded by negativity, by those who doubt your dreams, by messages that reinforce the idea that success is only for the lucky, then persistence will feel like an uphill battle. But if you intentionally seek out voices of resilience, stories of triumph, mentors who have walked the path before you, then persistence becomes easier. What you feed your mind determines what you believe is possible. The final test: do you really want it? At the heart of persistence lies one simple but profound question: how badly do you want it? Because the truth is, persistence is not a matter of willpower alone. It is a matter of desire. When you want something deeply enough, when your vision is so clear that you cannot imagine walking away from it, when the pain of giving up outweighs the pain of continuing, then no obstacle, no setback, no challenge will be enough to stop you. Those who achieve greatness are not the ones who had the smoothest path. They are the ones who refused to quit when every reason to stop presented itself. They are the ones who found a way forward when every door seemed closed. They are the ones who, despite fear, despite failure, despite frustration, kept moving forward. And in the end, that is the only difference between those who succeed and those who don't. So, the real question is, will you persist? Chapter 5: Mastering Discipline, the Foundation of Long-Term Success. The misconception about motivation, why it's unreliable. One of the greatest myths about achievement is that successful people are constantly motivated, that they wake up every morning feeling inspired, energized, and eager to tackle their goals. This illusion is reinforced by social media, where we see images of people working tirelessly, pushing their limits, and appearing unstoppable. But the reality is quite different. Even the most accomplished individuals experience days when they feel unmotivated, when self-doubt creeps in, when exhaustion tempts them to take the easy way out. The difference is that they do not rely on motivation to take action. Instead, they rely on discipline. Motivation is fleeting. It is a temporary surge of excitement, a burst of enthusiasm that feels powerful in the moment, but quickly fades when challenges arise. It is easy to feel motivated at the start of a new goal, when the vision is fresh, when the possibilities seem endless, when there has been no real resistance yet. But the moment things become difficult, when progress slows, when the initial excitement wears off, motivation begins to wane. And this is where most people falter, mistaking the loss of motivation as a sign to stop rather than an invitation to develop something far more valuable. Discipline. Discipline is what separates those who succeed from those who merely dream. It is the ability to take action, not when you feel like it, but when you have committed to it, regardless of how you feel in the moment. It is about training yourself to follow through on your goals, even when excitement fades, even when distractions arise, even when every part of you wants to quit. Unlike motivation, which depends on external factors, discipline is built internally. It is not about feeling inspired. It is about making a decision, again and again, to stay the course, no matter what. The science behind discipline. How habits shape your future discipline is not just about willpower. It is about habit formation. Neuroscience has shown that human behavior is largely driven by habits, automatic routines that the brain develops over time to conserve energy. Every time you take a certain action, your brain creates neural pathways that make it easier to repeat that action in the future. This is why bad habits, once formed, are so difficult to break, and why good habits, once established, can feel effortless. The secret to mastering discipline is not about forcing yourself to rely on sheer willpower every day. It is about creating systems that make discipline automatic. One of the most effective ways to do this is through habit stacking, linking a new habit to an existing one. For example, if you want to develop a daily writing habit, tie it to something you already do without fail, like drinking your morning coffee. Every morning, as you drink your coffee, open your notebook or laptop and write, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Over time, your brain will associate the act of drinking coffee with writing, making it feel natural rather than forced. The same principle applies to fitness, learning, or any other discipline-based goal. The key is to make discipline a part of your routine, rather than something that requires constant, conscious effort. Another crucial aspect of discipline is eliminating decision fatigue. Every day you are faced with countless decisions, and the more choices you have to make, the more mentally exhausted you become. This is why some of the most disciplined people simplify their lives, wearing the same type of clothing every day, structuring their schedules consistently, or automating small decisions. By reducing unnecessary choices, they preserve mental energy for the decisions that truly matter. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to work harder. It is about designing an environment that makes success inevitable. The role of self-control, winning the battle with temptation discipline, is, at its core, a battle between long-term rewards and short-term gratification. Every day you are faced with choices. Should you work on your goals, or should you scroll through social media? Should you exercise, or should you stay in bed? Should you save money, or should you indulge in an impulse purchase? The temptation to take the easier route is always present, and without discipline, it is all too easy to justify choices that feel good in the moment, but lead to regret in the long run. One of the best ways to strengthen discipline is to understand the psychology of temptation. Studies have shown that the human brain is wired for instant gratification. When faced with a choice, the brain prioritizes immediate rewards over future benefits, a concept known as temporal discounting. This is why people struggle with procrastination, poor eating habits, or financial irresponsibility. The brain naturally prefers pleasure now rather than delayed success later. However, just because the brain is wired this way does not mean you are powerless against it. Self-control can be trained just like a muscle. A powerful strategy for resisting temptation is the 10-minute rule. When you feel the urge to indulge in a distraction, delay the decision for just 10 minutes. If you feel like skipping a workout, tell yourself you will decide in 10 minutes. If you are tempted to scroll through your phone instead of working, wait 10 minutes before acting. This short delay gives your brain time to regain control and often reduces the intensity of the temptation. Most of the time, by the end of the 10 minutes, the urge has passed and you are able to make the disciplined choice. Another key to mastering self-control is removing temptations from your environment. If you struggle with eating unhealthy foods, do not keep them in your home. If you want to reduce distractions, put your phone in another room while you work. The fewer temptations you are exposed to, the less willpower you need to resist them. Discipline is not about being stronger than temptation. It is about being smart enough to avoid it altogether. The long-term reward of discipline, freedom through structure. Most people see discipline as restrictive, as something that limits freedom. They believe that being disciplined means sacrificing enjoyment, spontaneity, or happiness. But in reality, discipline is the key to true freedom. When you lack discipline, you are at the mercy of impulses, distractions, and external circumstances. You react to life rather than controlling it. But when you master discipline, you gain the ability to shape your own future, to create the life you truly want, rather than settling for whatever happens by chance. Consider the difference between someone who is financially disciplined and someone who is not. The undisciplined person spends money impulsively, never saving or planning, and as a result, they are constantly stressed about money, trapped in financial insecurity. But the disciplined person, who saves, invests, and lives within their means, experiences true financial freedom, the ability to make choices based on desire rather than necessity. The same principle applies to health, career, and personal growth. Discipline does not take away freedom. It creates it. At the end of the day, discipline is the foundation of all success. It is what allows you to stay committed when motivation fades, to push through difficulties when others give up, and to achieve long-term results rather than chasing short-term pleasures. It is not an easy path, but it is the only path to true mastery. The question is not whether you are capable of discipline. The question is whether you are willing to embrace it. Because in the end, success is not about what you want. It is about what you are willing to do to get it. Chapter 6. Overcoming Fear, Breaking Through the Invisible Barriers. The true cost of fear, how it holds you back. Fear is the silent thief of dreams. It does not announce itself with a dramatic entrance or an obvious warning. It creeps in subtly, disguising itself as rational hesitation, practical caution, or a simple preference for comfort. It whispers in the back of your mind, convincing you that it is safer to wait, that the timing isn't right, that you aren't ready yet. It masquerades as responsibility, persuading you to choose stability over risk, familiarity over challenge, certainty over possibility. And in doing so, it keeps you trapped, not by external circumstances, but by an invisible prison of your own making. The greatest danger of fear is not that it stops you outright, but that it slows you down so gradually that you don't even realize you are standing still. It makes you second-guess yourself, causing delays and hesitation that add up over time until months, even years, pass without progress. It convinces you to aim lower, to shrink your ambitions just enough that they feel manageable, but not truly exciting. It keeps you from asking for what you deserve, from speaking up, from stepping into opportunities that could change your life. Fear does not need to destroy your dreams outright. Merely keeping you from pursuing them is enough, and the cost of that hesitation is immense. Every time fear wins, a door closes, an opportunity is missed, a connection is never made, a potential future is left unexplored. The sad truth is that many people never realize just how much fear has stolen from them until it is too late. They look back and see the moments they let slip away, the risks they never took, the chances they talked themselves out of. And the regret of inaction is far heavier than the temporary discomfort of facing fear head-on. Understanding fear, the science behind why we hesitate to overcome fear, we must first understand it. Fear is not random. It is a deeply ingrained survival mechanism designed to protect us. Our brains evolved to detect threats and respond with caution. This kept our ancestors alive in a world where danger was real, where a single mistake could mean death. But in the modern world, where most fears are psychological rather than physical, this ancient wiring often works against us. The brain does not distinguish between real, immediate danger and imagined threats. Whether you are facing a life-threatening situation or simply considering taking a bold step outside your comfort zone, the same fight or flight response is triggered. This is why public speaking can make your heart race as if you were being chased by a predator. Why taking a financial risk can feel like a life or death decision. Why putting yourself out there, whether in business, relationships, or personal growth, can feel terrifying even when there is no actual harm involved. The brain's job is to keep you safe, and it interprets any uncertainty, any possibility of failure as a threat. But here's the key. Fear is not always an enemy. It is a signal that you are stepping into growth. The presence of fear often means that you are moving towards something meaningful, something that has the power to expand your life. The goal is not to eliminate fear, but to stop letting it control your actions. The fear of failure. How to redefine what it means to lose. Perhaps the most paralyzing form of fear is the fear of failure. The idea that trying and not succeeding is worse than not trying at all. Society reinforces this fear by glorifying success and shaming failure, as if the two are separate paths rather than parts of the same journey. From a young age, we are taught to avoid mistakes, to play it safe, to seek approval by doing what is expected. But the truth is, failure is not the opposite of success. It is the foundation of it. Every successful person has failed, repeatedly, publicly, painfully. The difference is that they did not allow failure to define them. They used it as fuel. Instead of seeing it as proof of inadequacy, they saw it as feedback, a lesson, an adjustment, a necessary part of growth. The most successful people in the world are not those who never failed, but those who learn to fail faster, recover quicker, and try again with more insight. The real question is not whether you will fail. You will. The question is, will you let failure stop you, or will you let it shape you? The moment you stop fearing failure, you become unstoppable. Because once you understand that failure is simply data, simply an experiment with a result, you no longer see it as something to avoid. You see it as something to learn from. The fear of judgment. Stop letting others control your life. If failure is one of the biggest fears, the fear of judgment is a close second. The fear of what others will think, of being criticized, of standing out, and being scrutinized. This fear keeps people from expressing themselves, from taking risks, from pursuing their true desires. It makes them live small, constantly adjusting their actions to fit into expectations that were never their own to begin with. But here's the truth. People are going to judge you no matter what. Whether you play it safe or take bold risks, whether you follow the crowd or carve your own path, whether you succeed or fail, someone, somewhere, will always have an opinion about it. The question is, are you going to let that stop you? Are you going to live your life based on the fears and opinions of people who are not living your life? The most freeing realization is that most people are too caught up in their own worries to truly focus on yours. The fear of judgment is often exaggerated in our own minds. We assume that people are paying far more attention to us than they actually are. But even if they are watching, even if they do have opinions, does it really matter? At the end of your life, whose approval will truly matter? Those who doubted you or your own? Breaking through fear. the courage to move forward anyway. The only way to overcome fear is to face it, to do the thing that scares you, not once, but repeatedly, until fear loses its power over you. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is taking action despite it. And the more you act in the presence of fear, the more you train your brain to see that fear is not a stop sign, but a signal to move forward. Start small. Take controlled risks. If speaking in front of a large audience terrifies you, start by speaking in front of a small group. If making a big career change feels overwhelming, start by taking one small step in that direction. Every time you take action despite fear, you rewire your brain, proving to yourself that fear is not as powerful as it seems. And over time, what once felt impossible becomes second nature. Fear will never fully disappear, but that's a good thing, because the presence of fear often means that you are doing something important, that you are growing, that you are pushing the boundaries of what you once thought possible. The goal is not to be fearless. The goal is to be brave enough to act even when fear is present. So the next time fear tries to hold you back, ask yourself, is this fear protecting me, or is it limiting me? And if it is limiting you, refuse to let it win. Because everything you want in life, the success, the growth, the experiences, the fulfillment, is waiting for you on the other side of fear. Chapter 7. Embracing Failure, Transforming Setbacks into Success. Why failure is not the end, it's a beginning. Failure is a word that carries a weight heavier than it should. It is often seen as the end of the road, as a confirmation of inadequacy, as a sign that dreams should be abandoned. Society has conditioned us to fear failure, to view it as something shameful, something to be avoided at all costs. But what if everything we've been taught about failure is wrong? What if failure is not the enemy of success, but its greatest teacher? What if every setback, every mistake, every disappointment is not a reason to stop, but a step forward toward something greater? The most successful people in history, those whose names are remembered, whose achievements changed the world, did not avoid failure. They embraced it. They understood that every failure contained a lesson, that every defeat held the seed of future victory. Thomas Edison, whose inventions shaped the modern world, famously failed thousands of times before perfecting the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he did not see them as wasted effort. He saw them as progress. "I have not failed," he said. "I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This is the mindset that separates those who achieve greatness from those who never move beyond fear. Failure is not a reflection of your worth or potential. It is simply information. It is the universe's way of showing you what does not work so you can find what does. The only true failure is giving up. As long as you are willing to learn, adapt, and try again, you have not failed. You have evolved. The psychology of failure. Why most people fear it. To overcome the fear of failure, we must first understand why it has such a powerful grip on us. From childhood, we are taught that success is rewarded and failure is punished. In school, mistakes lead to bad grades. In society, failure is often met with judgment, embarrassment, or rejection. Over time, this conditioning creates a deep-seated fear that prevents many people from taking risks. They become more focused on avoiding failure than on achieving success, preferring the safety of inaction over the uncertainty of trying and potentially failing. But this fear is based on a misunderstanding of what failure truly is. The brain is wired to seek comfort and avoid pain, and failure, especially when it is public, can feel painful. The sting of rejection, the frustration of setbacks, the disappointment of unfulfilled expectations can make failure seem unbearable. Yet, if we shift our perspective, we begin to see failure not as pain, but as growth. The discomfort we feel after failing is not a sign that we should stop. It is a sign that we are expanding our limits, stretching beyond what we once believed possible. Failure does not mean you are incapable. It means you are in the process of becoming capable. Every great skill, every achievement, every breakthrough is preceded by failure. The only difference between those who succeed and those who don't is how they respond to it. Some let failure define them, while others use it as fuel to push forward. Learning from failure, turning setbacks into strategy. The key to using failure as a stepping stone, rather than a stumbling block, is learning how to analyze it. Instead of letting failure feel like a personal defeat, approach it like a scientist analyzing an experiment. Ask yourself, what went wrong? What can I learn from this? How can I adjust my approach? The most successful entrepreneurs, athletes, and innovators treat failure as feedback rather than finality. They understand that each failure provides valuable insights that bring them closer to success. One of the most effective ways to learn from failure is through reflection and adjustment. After a setback, take time to break it down. Write about what happened, identify what worked and what didn't, and develop a new strategy based on those insights. Many people fail and move on too quickly, missing the opportunity to extract valuable lessons. Others dwell on failure, letting it paralyze them rather than inform them. The balance lies in analyzing, adjusting, and moving forward. Another powerful approach is reframing failure. Instead of viewing it as a loss, see it as an investment in your growth. Every failure teaches you something you would not have learned otherwise. It forces you to develop resilience, creativity, and problem-solving skills. The more you fail, the more experienced you become. Instead of fearing failure, ask yourself, what would I attempt if I knew failure was just part of the process? The resilience factor, building the strength to keep going. Resilience is the ability to recover from failure and keep moving forward. It is the backbone of every great achievement, the force that keeps people pushing forward when the odds seem stacked against them. Resilience is not an innate trait. It is a skill that can be developed, and the way to develop it is by facing failure head-on again and again until it loses its power over you. One of the best ways to build resilience is to normalize failure. The more you experience setbacks, the less intimidating they become. This is why the most successful people often fail more times than the average person ever attempts. They do not see failure as a reason to quit. They see it as proof that they are in the arena, taking action, making progress. Each failure makes them stronger, sharper, more prepared for the next challenge. Another key to resilience is having a strong why. When your purpose is clear, setbacks do not feel like the end. They feel like obstacles to overcome on the path to something greater. When your vision is strong enough, no failure is powerful enough to stop you. If you find yourself discouraged by failure, reconnect with your purpose. Remind yourself why you started. When your why is strong, no setback is permanent. Failure as a gateway to innovation and success. History is filled with examples of people who turned failure into groundbreaking success. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job because he was told he lacked creativity. Oprah Winfrey was told she was unfit for television. Steve Jobs was publicly ousted from his own company before returning to revolutionize the industry. The list goes on. These people did not let failure stop them. They let it refine them. They turned rejection into redirection. Failure often leads to unexpected breakthroughs. When things do not go as planned, we are forced to think differently, to explore new solutions, to innovate. Some of the greatest inventions and discoveries were born from failures. Post-it notes, penicillin, even the microwave oven. All of these were the result of accidents, of failures that turned into opportunities. Failure is often the gateway to something greater than we originally imagined. If you truly want to succeed, you must become comfortable with failure. Not just tolerate it, but embrace it as part of the process. The more you fail, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you become. Every failure brings you closer to success if you are willing to keep going. Moving forward, the courage to fail and try again. The final step in embracing failure is action. Do not wait until you feel ready. Do not wait until fear disappears. Take action, fail, learn, and take action again. The more you do this, the more fearless you become. Not because failure stops happening, but because it no longer defines you. Ask yourself, what would I do if I knew failure was just part of the journey? Then go do it. Fail boldly. Fail often. Fail forward. Because in the end, success is not about avoiding failure. It is about refusing to let failure stop you. The only true failure is never trying at all. Chapter 8. The Power of Consistency. How Daily Actions Shape Extraordinary Success. Why consistency beats motivation every time. It's easy to get excited about a new goal. The initial spark of inspiration makes everything seem possible, fueling our ambitions with a powerful burst of energy. In those early moments, motivation feels like an unstoppable force, an adrenaline rush that makes action effortless. But as the days pass and reality settles in, the enthusiasm begins to fade. The hard work required to achieve greatness no longer feels as thrilling. Excuses start creeping in. Maybe I'll start tomorrow, we tell ourselves. Maybe I'm not ready yet. And before we know it, another dream is pushed aside, abandoned in favor of short-term comfort. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent, luck, or even intelligence. It's consistency. The ability to show up day after day even when the excitement is gone, even when no one is watching, even when progress seems painfully slow. The most successful people in the world are not always the most gifted, but they are the ones who refuse to quit. They understand that greatness is not built in a single moment of inspiration, but through a series of small, deliberate actions repeated consistently over time. Motivation is fleeting. It is unreliable. It comes and goes based on emotions, external circumstances, and temporary bursts of energy. But consistency is different. It is a commitment, a discipline, a choice. While motivation depends on how you feel, consistency is about what you do, regardless of your feelings. The truth is, your results are not determined by what you do once in a while. They are determined by what you do every single day. The compound effect. Why small actions lead to massive results. Most people believe success comes from big, dramatic actions. They think it requires a massive breakthrough, an extraordinary talent, or a sudden stroke of luck. But in reality, success is a result of small, consistent efforts that compound over time. Just like a single drop of water may seem insignificant, but over years, it can carve through rock. Small actions, when repeated daily, create unstoppable momentum. Consider someone trying to get in shape. If they go to the gym once and expect immediate results, they will be disappointed. But if they exercise consistently, even just a little each day, over time their body transforms. The same principle applies to every area of life, whether it's learning a skill, growing a business, building a strong relationship, or achieving financial independence. The results may not be visible right away, but every small effort adds up, creating exponential growth. Many people fail to see the power of this compounding effect because they focus too much on short-term results. They want instant gratification. They want immediate success. And when they don't see progress fast enough, they get discouraged and give up. But those who understand the power of consistency know that success is not about overnight results. It's about playing the long game. Every small action, no matter how insignificant it seems, is a building block for something greater. How habits shape your destiny. Your habits define your future. The things you do repeatedly, whether good or bad, determine the course of your life. You are not simply the product of your big decisions. You are the product of your daily routines. If you want to change your life, start by changing your habits. Think about the things you do every day without thinking. Checking your phone first thing in the morning, scrolling through social media, hitting the snooze button, watching TV at night. These small habits may seem harmless, but over time, they shape your identity and determine your success or failure. If your daily actions are aligned with your goals, you will eventually achieve them. If they are not, no amount of motivation will save you. The key to building powerful habits is starting small and staying consistent. Many people make the mistake of trying to overhaul their entire life overnight. They set extreme goals, push themselves too hard, and then burn out. True change happens gradually. It's better to start with tiny, manageable habits that are easy to maintain. Want to write a book? Start by writing just 100 words a day. Want to get in shape? Start with 10 minutes of exercise. Over time, these small habits grow into unstoppable momentum, leading to massive transformation. Overcoming the temptation to quit. One of the biggest challenges of consistency is dealing with the temptation to quit. There will be days when progress feels slow, days when you feel exhausted, uninspired, or discouraged, days when you wonder if your efforts are even making a difference. This is where most people give up, but this is also where success is born. The secret to staying consistent is focusing on the process, not just the outcome. If you only measure success by results, you will struggle with consistency because results take time. Instead, learn to measure success by your effort. Did you show up today? Did you take one small step forward? If so, you are succeeding, regardless of visible progress. Another powerful strategy is removing the option to quit. Most people fail because quitting is always on the table. But when you make a firm commitment to your goal, when you decide that no matter what, you will keep going, everything changes. It's no longer a question of if you will succeed, but when. Consistency and identity, becoming the person who takes action. True consistency is not just about what you do, it's about who you are. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with discipline, who always quits, who never follows through, that belief will shape your actions. But if you change your identity, if you start seeing yourself as someone who is disciplined, committed, and relentless, your actions will naturally align with that identity. The most powerful way to build consistency is to change the way you see yourself. Instead of saying, "I'm trying to get fit," say, "I am someone who exercises daily." Instead of saying, "I'm trying to write a book," say, "I am a writer." When you fully embrace a new identity, consistency becomes effortless. It's no longer about forcing yourself to take action. It becomes a natural part of who you are. The unstoppable force of daily action. At the end of the day, success is not about talent, luck, or even intelligence. It is about showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it, even when progress seems slow, even when no one believes in you. Consistency is the key that unlocks every great achievement. It is the force that separates those who dream from those who do. So ask yourself, what small action can I take today? What commitment can I make right now that, if done consistently, will change my life? Because in the end, it's not what you do once that matters, it's what you do every single day. Stay consistent, and success is inevitable. Chapter 9. Mastering Resilience. Turning Obstacles into Opportunities. The inevitability of challenges. Why adversity is a given. No matter how ambitious, talented, or determined you are, life will test you. Obstacles will appear at the most unexpected moments. Challenges will seem insurmountable, and setbacks will shake your confidence. The path to success is never a straight line. It twists and turns, filled with roadblocks, dead ends, and moments of doubt. Many people assume that difficulties mean they are on the wrong path, that struggles are signs to turn back. But in reality, obstacles are not there to stop you. They are there to shape you. Those who succeed in any field, whether in business, sports, relationships, or personal growth, are not the ones who avoid challenges, but the ones who embrace them. They do not crumble in the face of adversity. They rise above it. They understand that setbacks are not permanent failures, but stepping stones toward growth. The question then is not whether you will face difficulties, because you will. The real question is, how will you respond when obstacles arise? Will you let them break you, or will you use them to become stronger? Resilience is the ability to keep going, even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. It is the capacity to push forward when your plans unravel, when success feels distant, and when doubts creep in. The people who achieve the greatest successes are not the ones who had an easy path. They are the ones who refused to quit, no matter how hard the journey became. And if you can train yourself to see obstacles not as threats, but as opportunities for growth, you will develop an unstoppable mindset, one that can weather any storm and turn any failure into fuel for future success. The power of perspective, redefining failure as growth. Most people fear failure because they see it as the opposite of success, as proof that they are not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. But this mindset is fundamentally flawed. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a critical part of the journey. Every great success story is built on a foundation of failures, mistakes, and lessons learned. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is not the presence or absence of failure. It is the way they perceive it. When Thomas Edison was working on the light bulb, he failed thousands of times before getting it right. When asked about his repeated failures, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This is the mindset of resilience, the ability to see every setback as a lesson, every rejection as a redirection, and every failure as an essential stepping stone to greatness. Resilient individuals understand that setbacks are temporary and that the only true failure is the failure to learn. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, they see them as detours leading to something better. Instead of allowing difficulties to break their spirit, they use them to build unshakable confidence. The key to developing this perspective is to stop associating failure with personal worth and start seeing it as an inevitable and even necessary part of success. If you can train yourself to welcome failure as feedback rather than defeat, you will develop the resilience needed to achieve anything you set your mind to. Building emotional strength, how to stay strong under pressure. Resilience is not just about persistence, it is also about emotional mastery. The ability to navigate setbacks, disappointments, and hardships requires a level of emotional strength that goes beyond simple determination. It requires the ability to manage fear, frustration, and self-doubt in a way that does not hinder progress. One of the most powerful ways to develop emotional resilience is to reframe negative experiences. When something doesn't go as planned, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" This simple shift in perspective turns difficulties into learning experiences rather than sources of suffering. Every challenge carries a lesson, and those who are emotionally resilient learn to extract wisdom from every hardship. Another critical element of emotional strength is learning to control your inner dialogue. The way you speak to yourself in difficult moments determines how you handle them. If you allow negative thoughts to take over, "I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. This will never work," you will sabotage yourself before you even have a chance to succeed. But if you train your mind to respond with empowering thoughts, "This is tough, but I can handle it. Every challenge makes me stronger. I will find a way through this," you will develop an unshakable inner foundation. Resilient people also cultivate a deep sense of self-trust. They understand that even when things go wrong, they have the ability to adapt, figure things out, and keep moving forward. This self-trust does not come from avoiding failure. It comes from surviving it. The more you push through difficult moments, the more confidence you build in your ability to overcome anything life throws your way. Adaptability, the ability to pivot and thrive. One of the defining traits of resilient individuals is their ability to adapt. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how carefully you plan, things will not always go the way you expect. Those who cling rigidly to their original plans often struggle when faced with change, but those who are adaptable thrive in any environment. Adaptability is the ability to adjust your strategy without losing sight of your goal. It means being flexible enough to change course when necessary while staying committed to your ultimate vision. The most successful entrepreneurs, athletes, and leaders in the world all share this trait. They do not get stuck in one way of doing things. Instead, they constantly assess, adjust, and move forward in new ways. To develop adaptability, you must learn to see change as an opportunity rather than a threat. Many people resist change because it feels uncomfortable, but the truth is, growth only happens when you step outside your comfort zone. Every setback, every unexpected twist in your journey is an invitation to innovate, to think differently, and to find new paths forward. The most resilient individuals are not those who avoid change, but those who embrace it, using it to their advantage rather than fearing it. The resilient mindset, becoming unstoppable at its core. Resilience is a mindset, a way of thinking that turns obstacles into opportunities, failures into lessons, and challenges into fuel for growth. It is the belief that no matter what happens, you have the ability to rise, to rebuild, and to keep moving forward. Developing resilience does not mean you will never struggle. It does not mean you will never feel fear, doubt, or frustration. But it does mean that when those emotions arise, you will not let them control you. It means that when setbacks occur, you will not see them as reasons to quit, but as reasons to push harder. It means that no matter how many times you fall, you will always get back up. The world is filled with people who had talent but gave up, who had potential but let fear hold them back, who had dreams but let obstacles defeat them. The ones who rise to the top are not the ones who had the easiest journey, but the ones who refused to be broken by hardship. So, the next time you face a challenge, ask yourself, will this break me, or will this build me? Will I let this stop me, or will I use it to become even stronger? Because in the end, resilience is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. And if you can master resilience, there is nothing you cannot overcome. Chapter 10. The Art of Decisive Action. Moving from thinking to doing, the paralysis of overthinking. Why many never start. One of the greatest obstacles to success is not a lack of ability, resources, or opportunity. It is the inability to make decisive moves when it matters most. Many people spend their lives trapped in a cycle of endless analysis, waiting for the perfect moment, seeking absolute certainty, and fearing the consequences of making the wrong choice. They convince themselves that they need more time, more information, more validation before taking action. But in reality, indecision is often more damaging than making a mistake. The mind has a way of tricking us into believing that hesitation is wisdom, when, in fact, it is often a mask for fear. The longer you delay, the more your mind magnifies potential risks, inflating them until they seem insurmountable. The more you analyze, the more doubts creep in, and the less likely you are to act at all. This is the trap of overthinking, where every scenario is scrutinized, every possible outcome is examined, and yet no real action ever takes place. Inaction is the silent killer of dreams, and the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. Success does not come from knowing everything in advance. It comes from moving forward despite uncertainty. Every great entrepreneur, artist, athlete, and leader has had to make decisions with incomplete information, trusting their instincts and learning as they go. The secret is not in avoiding mistakes, but in becoming someone who adapts quickly and learns from them. The ability to make decisions quickly and take bold action is what separates those who achieve from those who remain stuck in the endless loop of hesitation. The cost of indecision: what you lose when you wait. Every moment you hesitate is a moment lost, an opportunity slipping away, a lesson delayed, progress postponed. While you are waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is taking action, making mistakes, learning, and moving ahead. Indecision does not merely pause progress, it actively pushes success further out of reach. Consider how many opportunities in life are missed because of hesitation. People who wait too long to pursue their passions often find themselves trapped in unfulfilling careers. Those who delay making necessary changes, whether in business, health, or relationships, often face compounded problems that could have been easier to fix earlier. The irony of indecision is that the very thing people fear, failure, discomfort, or making the wrong choice, often becomes their reality simply because they waited too long to act. The most successful individuals understand that time is their most valuable resource, and every decision delayed is a cost paid in lost potential. They do not let the fear of imperfection stop them. They move forward, adjusting as needed. Taking imperfect action is always better than perfect inaction. How to train yourself to be decisive. Becoming decisive is not about recklessness. It is about developing a mindset that prioritizes action over endless deliberation. The first step in training yourself to be decisive is to recognize that no decision is ever truly final. Most choices can be adjusted, corrected, or improved upon once you take action. The key is to move forward and refine along the way, rather than waiting for certainty before starting. One powerful strategy to enhance decisiveness is the 5-second rule. Whenever you find yourself hesitating on an important action, count down from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then move. This interrupts the brain's tendency to overanalyze and forces immediate action before doubts take over. The more you practice this, the more automatic decisive action becomes. Another technique is setting time limits on decisions. If a choice is not life-altering, give yourself a strict deadline, whether 5 minutes, an hour, or a day, to make the call and commit. The longer you allow yourself to deliberate, the harder the decision becomes. By imposing time constraints, you train yourself to trust your judgment and build confidence in your ability to act under pressure. It is also essential to embrace the philosophy of experimentation. Instead of viewing decisions as permanent, see them as experiments, opportunities to test, learn, and adjust. This mindset removes the fear of making a wrong choice because every action, successful or not, becomes valuable data for future growth. The mindset of action, becoming a doer, not just a thinker. Those who achieve remarkable success are not necessarily the smartest or most talented. They are the ones who act. They do not merely dream, strategize, or plan. They execute. They are relentless in their pursuit of progress, and they understand that momentum is built through continuous movement, not endless thinking. Action takers recognize that hesitation is the enemy of success. They do not wait for inspiration. They create it by doing. They do not let self-doubt paralyze them. They move forward despite it. They understand that every step taken, no matter how small, builds momentum, and momentum breeds confidence. The more you take action, the more natural it becomes, and the less fear and doubt hold power over you. This shift from being a thinker to a doer is what transforms ideas into reality. Dreaming will never be enough. Execution is what brings success to life. You do not need permission, you do not need guarantees, and you do not need to feel ready. You simply need to take the first step. trust the process, and commit to forward motion no matter what obstacles arise. Conquering fear, letting go of perfectionism. One of the biggest reasons people hesitate to take action is the fear of imperfection. They believe that unless they have everything figured out, unless they can guarantee success, they should wait. But perfectionism is an illusion. It is a comfortable excuse for inaction. No one who has achieved greatness started with perfection. They started with a willingness to embrace imperfection and improve along the way. The truth is, you will never feel fully ready. You will never have absolute certainty. You will never have a perfect plan that guarantees success without risk. But waiting for perfection is the fastest way to ensure you never accomplish anything meaningful. Progress always beats perfection. Instead of fearing mistakes, embrace them as part of the journey. Every misstep is a lesson, every failure is a stepping stone, and every setback is an opportunity to refine your approach. Those who accept imperfection and keep moving forward are the ones who ultimately achieve greatness. Taking massive action, turning decisions into results. The final and most crucial step is to take massive, consistent action. Making a decision is not enough. It must be followed by immediate, substantial effort. The faster you act on a decision, the more likely it is to turn into success. Once you commit to a decision, create an action plan. Break it down into steps and execute each one without hesitation. Do not allow procrastination to creep in. Momentum is built through rapid, continuous effort. The best way to solidify a choice is to reinforce it with immediate action. Those who win in life are not those who merely decide to take action, but those who follow through with relentless execution. If you want to write a book, do not just decide. Start writing today. If you want to start a business, do not just plan. Launch something now, even if it is imperfect. If you want to improve your health, do not just research diets. Change your habits today. Success belongs to those who act, not those who wait. The breakthrough moment, when action becomes instinctive. At a certain point, something incredible happens. Taking action stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling natural. The more you practice decisiveness, the more it becomes second nature. You stop hesitating, stop doubting, and start operating with a level of confidence and conviction that separates you from the masses. The ability to take immediate, bold action is the ultimate superpower. It is what turns dreams into reality, potential into achievement, and plans into tangible success. If you can master the art of decisive action, you can accomplish anything. So the question is, what will you do now? Not tomorrow, not later, now. Because the future belongs to those who move, not those who wait. Chapter 11, Embracing Uncertainty, Thriving in the Unknown. The illusion of certainty, why we cling to the known. From the moment we are born, we are conditioned to seek certainty. We are taught to follow rules, plan for the future, and make decisions that provide stability and predictability. Society reinforces this idea through structured education, career paths, and financial planning, all designed to create a sense of control over our lives. Yet, despite all these efforts, uncertainty is an unavoidable reality. The world changes, markets shift, technology advances, and personal circumstances transform in ways we can never fully anticipate. Still, many people resist uncertainty, fearing it as a threat rather than embracing it as an opportunity. The need for certainty can be paralyzing. It leads people to stay in unfulfilling jobs because they fear the unknown of pursuing their passion. It causes entrepreneurs to hesitate, waiting for the right time instead of taking action. It keeps people in relationships long past their expiration date because they would rather endure the familiar than face the uncertainty of being alone. But the truth is, certainty is an illusion. No matter how much we plan, life will always introduce the unexpected. The people who succeed are not those who avoid uncertainty, but those who learn to thrive within it. The irony of certainty is that it often breeds stagnation. When people feel too comfortable, they stop pushing boundaries. They stop learning, growing, and taking risks. The greatest breakthroughs, whether in business, art, science, or personal growth, come from stepping into the unknown. The moment we accept that uncertainty is not something to fear, but something to master, we unlock the power to create without limits. Success is not found in playing it safe. It is found in having the courage to move forward, even when the outcome is unclear. The paradox of control, learning to let go. The human mind craves control because it provides a sense of security. We make plans, set goals, and create routines in an attempt to dictate the future. But control is often an illusion, and the more tightly we cling to it, the more we suffer when things do not go as expected. Those who are most resilient understand that flexibility, not rigid control, is the key to navigating an unpredictable world. The paradox of control is that real power comes from letting go. This does not mean abandoning responsibility or passively accepting whatever happens. Rather, it means recognizing that while we cannot control everything, we can always control how we respond. Those who master this mindset become unshakable. They do not crumble when plans change, when setbacks occur, or when uncertainty looms. Instead, they adapt, adjust, and continue moving forward with confidence. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate this mindset is through mental reframing. Instead of seeing uncertainty as a threat, view it as a challenge to be embraced. Instead of fearing the unknown, see it as a space for creativity and possibility. The most successful individuals in the world, from entrepreneurs to athletes to artists, are those who understand that the ability to pivot and adapt is far more valuable than the illusion of having everything planned out. Letting go of control is not a weakness. It is the ultimate form of strength. Decision-making in uncertainty, moving forward without all the answers. One of the biggest struggles people face in uncertainty is making decisions without knowing the full picture. Many hesitate, waiting for clarity that may never come. The truth is, most successful people do not have all the answers before they act. They make the best decision they can with the information available and trust themselves to adapt along the way. The key to making decisions in uncertain situations is to develop a bias toward action. Instead of being paralyzed by analysis, ask yourself, what is the next best step I can take with what I know right now? The goal is not to have perfect information, but to move forward, learn from experience, and adjust as needed. Indecision is often more damaging than making the wrong choice because it keeps you stuck in place. Action creates momentum, and momentum leads to clarity. Another powerful tool in decision-making under uncertainty is probabilistic thinking. Instead of seeking absolute certainty, think in terms of likelihoods. Ask yourself, what is the most probable outcome based on what I know? High achievers understand that no decision is guaranteed to succeed, but by making choices based on the highest probability of success, they increase their chances of winning over time. This mindset shift reduces fear and encourages progress. Building resilience, thriving in the face of the unknown resilience, is the ability to keep moving forward despite uncertainty, setbacks, and challenges. It is what separates those who fold under pressure from those who emerge stronger. The foundation of resilience is mental toughness, the ability to stay composed, focused, and determined even when the path ahead is unclear. One way to build resilience is by developing a strong internal locus of control. This means recognizing that, while you cannot control external events, you always control your thoughts, actions, and responses. People with an internal locus of control take ownership of their lives, refusing to be victims of circumstance. They do not dwell on what they cannot change. Instead, they focus on what they can do next. This mindset transforms challenges into stepping stones rather than roadblocks. Another crucial element of resilience is embracing failure as feedback. The fear of making mistakes holds many people back, but those who thrive in uncertainty understand that failure is simply data, information that helps refine their approach. Every setback is a lesson, every mistake is a stepping stone, and every unexpected turn is an opportunity for growth. Those who succeed are not those who avoid failure, but those who learn from it and keep going. The courage to step into the unknown. If you want to achieve extraordinary results, you must be willing to embrace uncertainty. You must be willing to take risks, step outside of your comfort zone, and move forward even when you do not have all the answers. The greatest opportunities in life often lie just beyond the point where fear tells you to stop. The people who make the biggest impact in the world are not those who played it safe. They are the ones who took bold leaps, ventured into the unknown, and trusted themselves to figure things out along the way. The future belongs to those who are willing to take chances, to act without guarantees, and to push through discomfort in pursuit of something greater. So ask yourself, where are you letting fear of uncertainty hold you back? What decision have you been delaying because you want more certainty before moving forward? What opportunity have you avoided because it feels too risky? The truth is, there will never be a perfect moment. There will never be absolute certainty. But what you do have is the ability to take action, adapt as you go, and build the life you want, one bold step at a time. The question is not whether uncertainty will be a part of your journey. It will be. The real question is, will you let it stop you, or will you embrace it and move forward anyway? Chapter 12. The Art of Persistence. How to keep going when the world says, stop the true test of success. Why most people quit too soon. The difference between those who achieve their boldest dreams and those who fall short is rarely intelligence, talent, or luck. More often, the deciding factor is persistence, the ability to keep going when progress is slow, when obstacles appear insurmountable, and when the world seems to be telling you to quit. The harsh reality is that most people give up far too soon. They start with enthusiasm, but as soon as they encounter resistance, doubt creeps in. They convince themselves that maybe they were never meant to succeed in the first place, that maybe they misunderstood their calling, or that maybe the effort isn't worth the struggle. But here's the truth. Every great achievement is born from perseverance. No one reaches their highest potential without encountering moments of doubt, exhaustion, and failure. The difference between success and mediocrity isn't a lack of hardship. It's the decision to push forward despite hardship. History is filled with stories of those who faced rejection, failure, and discouragement, but chose to persist. Thomas Edison made thousands of unsuccessful attempts before creating the light bulb. J.K. Rowling was rejected by numerous publishers before Harry Potter became a worldwide phenomenon. Walt Disney was fired from his job for lacking imagination before building one of the greatest entertainment empires in history. These stories aren't exceptions. They are the rule. Success isn't reserved for the lucky few. It belongs to those who refuse to quit. So why do most people give up? It's not because they lack ability. It's because persistence is uncomfortable. It requires enduring uncertainty, frustration, and self-doubt. It demands resilience in the face of setbacks. It asks you to keep going even when there is no visible reward. But those who understand the art of persistence know that every obstacle is a test, and those who pass the test are the ones who ultimately succeed. The myth of instant gratification: why persistence is rare. In today's world, where instant results are expected, persistence has become a lost art. We live in an era of on-demand entertainment, instant deliveries, and quick fixes. If a website takes more than a few seconds to load, we grow impatient. If we don't see immediate results from a new habit, we abandon it. This culture of instant gratification makes it incredibly difficult to develop the patience and perseverance required for meaningful success. The truth is, anything worth achieving takes time. Whether it's building a career, mastering a skill, writing a book, launching a business, or transforming your body, true progress is measured in months, years, and even decades, not days or weeks. Yet, many people abandon their goals simply because they don't see instant results. They work out for a few weeks and get discouraged when they don't have six-pack abs. They start a business and expect overnight success, only to give up when things move slower than expected. They pursue a creative passion, but quit when they don't immediately gain recognition. This is where most dreams die, not because they are impossible, but because the person pursuing them loses patience. The most successful people understand that persistence means embracing the long game. They recognize that mastery takes years of consistent effort. They accept that there will be plateaus, failures, and moments of discouragement. But instead of quitting, they commit to the process. They show up day after day, even when progress is invisible, because they trust that every small effort compounds over time. The secret to success isn't talent or luck. It's the ability to stay committed long after the excitement fades. The pain of failure: why setbacks are part of the process. One of the greatest barriers to persistence is the fear of failure. People quit because they believe failure is a sign that they aren't meant to succeed. But failure isn't an indication that you should stop. It's proof that you are in the arena taking action and learning. Every successful person has failed. In fact, the more successful they are, the more failures they have endured. The difference is, they don't let failure define them. They use it as fuel. Most people are conditioned to see failure as a final verdict, rather than as part of the process. They take rejection personally. They interpret mistakes as proof of inadequacy. They view setbacks as evidence that they are not good enough. But this mindset is what separates those who succeed from those who give up. The most resilient individuals see failure as feedback. Instead of letting it discourage them, they use it to adjust their approach, refine their skills, and come back stronger. Think about the stories of legendary figures who faced failure. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company before returning to revolutionize technology. Each of these individuals experienced setbacks that could have crushed them. But instead of giving up, they embraced failure as part of the journey and kept pushing forward. If you want to develop unshakable persistence, you must change the way you perceive failure. Instead of seeing it as a roadblock, view it as a stepping stone. Instead of fearing it, welcome it as a teacher. Instead of quitting when things go wrong, remind yourself that every setback brings you one step closer to success, as long as you keep going. How to develop relentless persistence. If persistence is the key to success, then the question becomes, how do you build it? How do you train yourself to keep going when motivation fades, when doubt creeps in, and when obstacles appear? The answer lies in developing daily habits that reinforce resilience. First, you must cultivate a deep sense of purpose. People who persist through challenges have a strong why behind their actions. They aren't just chasing superficial success, they are driven by something deeper. Whether it's the desire to create, to make an impact, to provide for their families, or to fulfill their potential, their commitment is fueled by purpose. If you find yourself losing motivation, reconnect with your why. Ask yourself, why did I start this journey in the first place? What is at stake if I give up? When your purpose is strong enough, quitting is no longer an option. Second, develop the habit of taking consistent action. Persistence is not about waiting for motivation to strike. It's about showing up every day, regardless of how you feel. Successful people don't rely on willpower alone. They build routines, set deadlines, and create accountability systems that keep them on track even when they don't feel like it. Discipline beats motivation every time. Lastly, surround yourself with people who reinforce persistence. Your environment shapes your mindset. If you are surrounded by people who quit easily, who make excuses, and who settle for mediocrity, their mindset will influence you. But if you surround yourself with ambitious, driven, and resilient individuals, their persistence will inspire you. Seek mentors, join communities of like-minded people, and immerse yourself in an environment that reinforces resilience. The final question: will you keep going? At some point in your journey, you will face moments of doubt. You will question whether it's worth it. You will feel exhausted, frustrated, and tempted to quit. This is the moment that defines you. Will you be the person who gives up when things get hard? Or will you push through? The choice is yours. The world is filled with people who started but never finished, but it is also filled with those who kept going and changed their lives because of it. Which one will you be? Chapter 13: Mastering the Inner Game. How to overcome self-doubt and build unstoppable confidence. The battle within: why self-doubt is your biggest enemy. Every great achievement, every bold decision, and every daring pursuit starts in the mind. It is not external circumstances that determine success. It is the inner game. And yet, for most people, the biggest obstacle they will ever face is not the competition, the economy, or lack of resources. It is self-doubt, that quiet but relentless voice that whispers, "What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? What if I don't deserve success?" Left unchecked, self-doubt becomes a silent assassin, slowly killing ambition, potential, and dreams. It is the invisible force that causes people to shrink back from opportunities, hesitate when they should act, and give up before they even start. The most dangerous thing about self-doubt is how convincingly it disguises itself as logic. It doesn't scream. It whispers in rational tones. It presents itself as caution, prudence, or common sense. It tells you to wait until you're ready. It reminds you of past failures and magnifies future risks. It convinces you that successful people have something you don't: more talent, more confidence, more luck. But here's the truth: self-doubt is a liar. The people who succeed are not those who never experience doubt, but those who refuse to listen to it. They feel fear and uncertainty like everyone else, but they don't let it dictate their choices. Instead, they master the inner game. If you want to chase bold dreams and turn vision into daring action, you must understand that success starts in the mind. Your beliefs shape your actions, and your actions shape your results. If you believe you are capable, you will take bold action. If you take bold action, you will create momentum. If you create momentum, success will follow. But if you let self-doubt control you, you will hesitate, procrastinate, and hold back. And in doing so, you will unknowingly sabotage your own potential. The question is not whether you will experience self-doubt. You will. The real question is, how will you respond? The root of self-doubt. Why we hold ourselves back to conquer self-doubt. We must first understand where it comes from. It is not something we are born with. It is something we are taught. As children, we are fearless. We try, we fall, we get back up. We don't hesitate to express ourselves, to explore, to attempt things beyond our skill level. But over time, we are conditioned to be cautious. We are told not to aim too high, not to draw too much attention, not to risk failure. We are warned against disappointment, criticized for mistakes, and compared to others. Slowly, we learn to doubt ourselves. We internalize limiting beliefs, and these beliefs shape our reality. Many people live their entire lives trapped by invisible mental barriers they never question. They believe they are not smart enough, not talented enough, not lucky enough. But these beliefs are not facts. They are stories that were implanted in their minds by experiences, authority figures, and social conditioning. The most successful individuals understand this. They realize that self-doubt is nothing more than outdated programming and that it can be rewritten. If you want to break free from self-doubt, you must challenge your limiting beliefs. Ask yourself, who told me I couldn't succeed? When did I decide to believe that? What if I am wrong? Most of the things we fear are illusions, and the only way to prove them false is to take action despite them. The mind is a powerful thing. If you feed it doubt, it will produce hesitation. If you feed it belief, it will produce confidence. The power of self-confidence. How to build unbreakable belief in yourself. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you build, like a muscle. And just like a muscle, the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. The mistake most people make is waiting for confidence before taking action. They assume they need to feel ready before they begin. But confidence does not come from waiting. It comes from doing. You don't need confidence to start. You need to start to build confidence. The secret to unshakable confidence is simple. Prove to yourself that you can trust yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, whether it's waking up early, following through on a commitment, or pushing past fear, you strengthen your self-belief. Confidence is the result of accumulated self-trust. The more you show yourself that you are capable, the less doubt will have power over you. One of the most effective ways to build confidence is through small, daily wins. Set a goal and follow through. Even something as simple as making your bed, exercising for 10 minutes, or writing one page of a book reinforces the belief that you are a person who takes action. The mistake most people make is thinking confidence requires a grand transformation. But real confidence is built in the small moments. The decision to speak up in a meeting, the choice to start a conversation, the willingness to take a small risk. Every time you act despite fear, you weaken self-doubt's grip on you. Another key to confidence is exposure. The things we fear most lose their power the more we face them. If public speaking terrifies you, start by speaking in front of small groups. If rejection scares you, challenge yourself to handle more of it. The more you expose yourself to discomfort, the more your brain realizes it is not a threat. Fear thrives in avoidance, but confidence is built in action. Defeating imposter syndrome. Stop waiting for permission to succeed. One of the most common manifestations of self-doubt is imposter syndrome, the persistent belief that you are not as competent as others think you are, and that at any moment you will be found out as a fraud. Imposter syndrome affects even the most accomplished individuals. Entrepreneurs, artists, executives, and athletes all experience moments of doubt where they feel unworthy of their success. But here's the truth. Everyone is figuring things out as they go. The people you admire, the experts in your field, the leaders in your industry, they all experience uncertainty. The difference is, they don't let it stop them. The most powerful way to overcome imposter syndrome is to stop waiting for permission to succeed. Many people hold themselves back because they feel they need validation, whether from a boss, a mentor, or society. But the most successful individuals don't wait for approval. They act as if they belong. They take up space. They believe in their ability to learn as they go. And because they project confidence, the world responds in kind. If you struggle with imposter syndrome, remind yourself, competence is not about knowing everything. It's about your ability to figure things out. No one has all the answers. The most successful people aren't necessarily the smartest. They are simply the ones who trust themselves enough to take action despite uncertainty. The final choice. Will you let self-doubt win? At the end of the day, the battle against self-doubt is a choice. You can choose to listen to the voice that tells you you're not good enough, or you can choose to prove it wrong. You can let fear hold you back, or you can take action despite it. You can wait until you feel ready, or you can recognize that readiness is an illusion. The choice is yours. Confidence is not about never feeling doubt. It's about deciding that doubt will not control you. It's about choosing belief over fear, action over hesitation, courage over comfort. The question is, will you choose to believe in yourself? Chapter 14. The courage to keep going. How to stay resilient when the road gets tough. The inevitability of struggle. Why every journey has obstacles. Every great pursuit comes with resistance. The path to success is not a smooth, effortless climb. It is a battlefield filled with moments of doubt, exhaustion, and unexpected setbacks. If chasing bold dreams were easy, everyone would do it. But it's precisely because of the obstacles that success holds value. The truth is, if you want something extraordinary, you must be willing to endure the discomfort that comes with it. This is where most people falter, not because they lack intelligence, talent, or even opportunity, but because they underestimate the weight of persistence. Most people start strong. The excitement of a fresh goal fuels them. The vision of what's possible fills them with energy. But as soon as reality sets in, as soon as the first roadblock appears or progress slows, they begin to doubt whether they were ever capable in the first place. This is where the real test begins. The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who give up is simple. Resilience. It's not about who has the perfect plan or the easiest path. It's about who has the determination to keep going when everything inside them screams to quit. The harsh reality is that obstacles are not the exception. They are the rule. You will face rejection. You will encounter failure. You will experience moments where nothing seems to be working. The world does not bend easily to bold ambitions, but those who persist, who learn to push through discomfort and uncertainty, eventually break through the resistance. If you want to succeed, you must not only accept struggle, but embrace it as part of the process. Your ability to keep going when things are difficult will determine how far you go. Finding your why, the fuel that keeps you moving. One of the greatest mistakes people make when pursuing a goal is focusing too much on the what and not enough on the why. The what is the external outcome: building a business, writing a book, running a marathon, creating change. But the why is the internal force that drives you. It is the deeper reason behind your pursuit, and it is the only thing strong enough to keep you moving when everything feels impossible. Without a strong why, obstacles will break you. If your motivation is surface level, if you are only chasing success for money, status, or approval, you will not last when challenges arise. But when your why is rooted in something deeper, when it is connected to purpose, passion, or something greater than yourself, you will find the strength to keep going, even when the odds are against you. Take a moment to ask yourself, why does this goal matter to me? What is at stake if I quit? What will my life look like if I give up? And what will it look like if I persist? Clarity on your why is the most powerful tool you have. It is the fire that keeps you moving when motivation fades. The stronger your reason, the stronger your resilience. Dealing with failure. Why setbacks are necessary for growth. One of the greatest misconceptions about success is that it follows a linear path. People assume that if they are talented, hardworking, or lucky enough, progress will be smooth. But reality tells a different story. Success is not a straight climb. It is a jagged, unpredictable road filled with highs and lows. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a necessary part of it. Look at the most successful people in any field, and you will see one common thread. They have all failed, repeatedly, painfully, and publicly. The difference is, they did not let failure define them. Instead, they used it as a tool for learning. Every setback provided insight. Every mistake revealed areas for growth. Every failure built the resilience they needed to keep moving forward. If you want to succeed, you must reframe failure. Instead of seeing it as a sign that you are not capable, see it as proof that you are in the game. Failure means you are taking action. It means you are pushing beyond your comfort zone. It means you are growing. The only real failure is quitting. As long as you are willing to learn, adapt, and keep going, failure is nothing more than a stepping stone to success. Building mental toughness. How to keep going when you feel like quitting. Resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you build. And just like a muscle, it strengthens with use. The more you push through difficulty, the more mental toughness you develop. The mistake most people make is assuming that resilience is about never feeling doubt, fear, or exhaustion. But true resilience is not about avoiding hardship. It is about learning to keep moving despite it. One of the most effective ways to build resilience is through controlled adversity. This means intentionally putting yourself in uncomfortable situations that force you to develop grit. It could be waking up early, committing to a daily habit, pushing yourself physically, or setting a challenge that stretches your limits. The more you expose yourself to discomfort, the more you realize that you are capable of enduring more than you thought. Another critical factor in resilience is perspective. When faced with an obstacle, most people ask, "Why is this happening to me?" But the most successful individuals ask, "What can I learn from this? How is this making me stronger?" The way you frame your struggles determines how you experience them. If you see every setback as a lesson rather than a loss, you will develop the mental toughness needed to persist through anything. The power of endurance. Why consistency beats intensity. In the pursuit of any goal, consistency is more powerful than intensity. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a short period and underestimate what they can achieve with sustained effort. They start with extreme enthusiasm, only to burn out when results don't come fast enough. But true success is not about how intensely you work in short bursts. It's about how long you can sustain the effort. Think of success like a marathon, not a sprint. The people who win are not necessarily the fastest starters. They are the ones who pace themselves and refuse to stop. They understand that progress is made through small, consistent actions repeated over time. Even on days when motivation is low, they show up. Even when progress feels slow, they keep moving forward. The key to long-term success is discipline. There will be days when you don't feel like taking action. There will be moments when self-doubt creeps in. But if you commit to consistency, if you make progress non-negotiable, you will eventually reach your goal. Small steps, taken daily, create unstoppable momentum. At the end of the day, resilience is a choice. When faced with obstacles, you have two options: give in to the resistance or push through it. You can allow self-doubt, failure, and setbacks to break you, or you can decide that nothing will stop you. The choice is not easy, but it is yours to make. Success is not about luck, talent, or perfect timing. It is about the willingness to endure. It is about showing up day after day, even when it feels like nothing is working. It is about believing in yourself enough to keep going when most people quit. So ask yourself, will you keep moving forward even when the road gets tough? Because in the end, the people who succeed are not necessarily the most gifted or fortunate. They are simply the ones who refuse to stop. Chapter 15. The Legacy of Daring. How to leave your mark on the world. The measure of a life well lived. What will you be remembered for? At the end of everything, when the noise of everyday life fades and the distractions dissolve into the background, the only question that truly matters is, did you make an impact? This is the measure of a life well lived, not how much money you accumulated, how many titles you held, or how flawless your achievements appeared on the surface, but the difference you made in the lives of others. Did you create something that outlived you? Did you inspire someone to dream bigger, work harder, or believe in themselves when they didn't think they could? Did you dare to live in a way that aligned with your deepest values, even when it was difficult? Too many people reach the later years of their lives and realize they played it safe. They followed the prescribed path, checked off society's expectations, and yet, there is an emptiness inside them, a quiet regret whispering that they could have done more, been bolder, and left a deeper impact. They wonder what would have happened if they had taken that risk, written that book, started that business, fought for that cause, or expressed the love they had been too afraid to share. The tragedy is not that they failed. It is that they never tried. You are still writing your story. Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. Will you live a life dictated by fear? Or will you embrace the unknown and pursue something greater than yourself? The truth is, legacy is not built in a single grand gesture. It is crafted in the small, consistent choices you make every day. The way you show up, the way you treat people, the courage you demonstrate in the face of uncertainty, the work you pour your heart into. Legacy is not about being famous or recognized by millions. It is about the impact you leave on the people who cross your path. Becoming the person who changes things. How to embody your vision. The world is not changed by those who wait for permission. It is shaped by those who decide that now is the time, that they are the ones, and that this is the moment to act. Every revolution, every innovation, every cultural shift, and every piece of art that has ever moved humanity forward began with someone who refused to accept things as they were. These were not people who had everything figured out from the start. They did not have perfect circumstances, limitless resources, or an unshakable guarantee of success. What they had was the willingness to start. The mistake too many people make is believing that change is reserved for those with extraordinary talent, wealth, or influence. But history proves otherwise. Movements begin with ordinary people who decide to take extraordinary action. Businesses that disrupt industries start with a single idea, often born in a small room with no funding or connections. Art that transforms generations often begins as a messy first draft, a song written in solitude, or a photograph taken with no expectations. Change is not waiting for someone else. It is waiting for you. So, who will you become? The person who dreams but never acts? Or the person who dares to move despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, despite the resistance? The world does not need more spectators. It needs more creators, builders, and leaders. People willing to do the work, take the risks, and put something meaningful into the world. It does not matter if your impact is seen by millions or just a handful of people. What matters is that you did something. The power of influence. Why your actions matter more than you know. One of the greatest lies we tell ourselves is that our actions do not matter, that we are just one person in a vast world, that our efforts are too small to create real change. But this could not be further from the truth. The way you live your life sends a message, whether you realize it or not. Every decision you make, whether to pursue your dreams or play it safe, to be kind or indifferent, to stand up for what's right or remain silent, has a ripple effect. Think about the people who have shaped your life. Maybe it was a teacher who encouraged you when you doubted yourself. Maybe it was a friend who believed in your potential before you could see it. Maybe it was a book, a speech, or a story that changed the way you saw the world. Most of these people had no idea how deeply they impacted you. They were simply living their lives, doing their work, following their calling. But their actions created a lasting effect, one that influenced your path in ways they may never know. Now consider this. You are that person for someone else. You may not see it yet. You may not realize that your perseverance is inspiring someone who is watching you from a distance, that your kindness is healing someone in ways you will never understand, that your willingness to take risks is giving someone else permission to do the same. Your influence is bigger than you think. When you live boldly, when you chase your dreams, build something meaningful, and stand for what matters, you give others the courage to do the same. The world is always watching, not in a superficial way, but in a deeply human way. People are looking for proof that it's possible, that they are not alone, that they too can create something worthwhile. And sometimes, all it takes is seeing one person go first. The final question: will you rise to the challenge? Now you stand at a crossroads. You have read the words. You have felt the fire. You have glimpsed the possibilities. But none of it matters unless you choose to act. The final question is not about your talent, your resources, or your circumstances. It is about your willingness to step forward, despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, despite the resistance. No one will hand you the perfect moment. There will never be a day when all doubts disappear, when every obstacle vanishes, when the path ahead is clear. If you are waiting for certainty, you will be waiting forever. The only way forward is to move now, to take the first step even when you are not ready, to trust that clarity will come through action, to embrace the reality that all great things begin with a single decision. The decision to begin. Will you play it safe, or will you take the risk? Will you settle for an ordinary existence, or will you dare to build something extraordinary? Will you let fear win, or will you push through and create a legacy that outlives you? This is your life, your story, your one chance to make it count. What will you do with it?